Hi, welcome to On Point, Belmont Stakes edition. I'm James Scully, joined by Vance Hanson. And Vance, before we get to the 12 horses entered for the 149th edition of the Belmont Stakes, I want to mention the defection of Classic Empire was sure to be the heavy favorite. He was withdrawn the morning of the draw, Wednesday morning, due to a foot abscess. Really sort of a blow to both his fans and people who were going to be against him because those that were looking to bet him were counting on him winning and having him in multi-race or vertical type exotic bets, and those against him, the price on the horses they might have been backing was going to be significantly lower. I thought he would be at best even money, but 4 to 5 might have been more realistic. Your thoughts on his defection?
Yeah, extreme disappointment on everybody's part. Mark Casse especially. He was glowing about how well he had shipped from Kentucky on Tuesday, and now the fact that the foot abscess has reoccurred is troubling. He's now being pointed for the Haskell, and it kind of still throws the 3-year-old championship picture in the air. We're still not going to find out who the best 3-year-old is until midsummer at the earliest.
Yeah, and that's the best thing about it is the fact that he'll be just fine for the upcoming races. The Haskell will be a target, the Travers, races like that. But it is, this is the second time he's had a foot problem. So, as Touch Gold showed years ago, sometimes those things, eventually will catch up and those horses just won't be the same performers. So let's hope he can stay healthy going forward.
Yeah, you really want him, because of his talent level and what he's shown before, you really want him to shake this off and not have to have this occur every couple of months too, because you want him to have at least get a decent shot at winning the championship title. It would be sad for him to possibly go off to stud and not prove himself possibly the best of his generation again this year.
Right. So we wound up having 12 horses drawn. Irish War Cry is the slight morning line favorite on the morning line. Epicharis, the Japanese invader, is the second choice. What are your thoughts on the Belmont field?
Irish War Cry, I'll take him first. Ran a really super race for a mile in the Kentucky Derby. He was on the wrong part of the track, running head-to-head with Battle of Midway for third, and then he just kind of completely collapsed in the last quarter mile. I don't know what to make of him off of that particular performance. He's turned into an in-and-out type of performer. He's supposedly on and in for the Belmont Stakes if you follow that pattern a little closely, but at 7-2 or thereabouts, he just doesn't seem like a good bet to me. And Epicharis, Japanese invader, hasn't run since late March. He's looking to become the first foreign horse making his U.S. debut to win the Belmont Stakes, and that's just a tough ask, especially if he's anywhere near his 4-1 morning line on. So I'm kind of going against the favorites here.
Yeah, and I with the Irish War Cry being in post 7, I thought it was sort of a disadvantageous for him to have Meantime drawn in post 9 and Epicharis in post 11. Meantime's going to go, and that's going to be if Irish War Cry settles and lets that horse go and, eases back and goes around him, that'll be to his advantage. But he can be a little headstrong and keen from the gate, so it'll be interesting to see how that shapes up. I'm expecting a solid pace. I wound up landing on Senior Investment for Kenny McPeak. I'm going to look for him. He's a little bit lower speed ratings, brisk speed numbers on paper, but this isn't a stellar group to begin with. I think he's improving, and I like the way he finished. To me, the real key is that move he had in the final eighth of the mile at Pimlico. He needs to start that on the far turn of the Belmont, and if he does, he'll be hopefully in a position to run him down in the latter stages.
2 horses I'm kind of looking at real closely. Taprit is the one I've been talking about along with Classic Empire for the last couple of weeks. He was always kind of my Pletcher horse to look at, since Todd likes to point horses from the Derby to the Belmont Stakes typically. Ran a decent 6th in the Derby, better than a lot of the other horses did. His race 2 back in the Bluegrass wasn't so hot, but he does have good form before that. And another one I've been starting to look at a little more closely in the last 24 hours is J-Boy's Echo, the Gotham winner who ran 4th and beat Taprit in the Bluegrass. Also had a lot of trouble like so many others did in the Kentucky Derby. He seems to like New York. He's run arguably his 2 best races in New York. Both of them were at Aqueduct before. He's a well-bred horse for 1.5 miles. He's by Mineshaft out of a Menifee mare, and Dale Romans is looking for his second classic win, and Robbie Alvarado who missed the Derby mount because of an injury, is coming right back to work after recovering from his broken collarbone. So some good karma on Bobby's side. He hasn't won a classic yet, or he has won one classic so far with Curlin, but he's looking for his second one.
And he's also got the Bobby Flay. Bobby Flay last year before the Belmont bought into Creator, who I think 11-1, 12-1 upset in last year's Belmont, and Jay Boyce Echo could be in the same price range, and Bobby Flay invested in him, was announced this morning.
Yeah, Flay could cook up another nice Belmont winning long shot here, so I'm going to definitely look at him at possibly double-digit odds on Sunday.
I'm going to mention a few horses on the undercard, and then we'll get Vance's take. Wicked Macho in the Easy Goer. I think he's an up-and-coming 3-year-old for Mark Casse. I like him to go 2 for 2 in that spot. I will take Tom's Ready in the Met Mile. He won the Woody Stevens last year at Belmont from off the pace. First race back, he finished third in the Churchill Downs Sprint on Derby Day. I'm looking for a move forward. Gets Castellano in the saddle. And, gosh.
Have you got any other long shots for us?
I guess that might be my last pick. Who are your undercard picks?
I was looking at the Manhattan most closely before we did this taping here, and there's a German import in here, first time in the U.S., called Potemkin, that looks kind of interesting. He's run on firm and soft ground. Comes off a lackluster seasonal debut in France, but he did win a Group 1 in Italy last fall and a Group 2 at Longchamp on Arc Weekend. Obviously, he's running into some real bears in the U.S. turf department, like World Approval, coming off a nice win in the Dixie.
Right.
And Chad Brown has 3 horses in there, including Time Test, who should really move forward off a second in the Fort Marcy in his seasonal debut. But Potemkin might be a good horse for the exotics. A couple of others, Antonone, I think her name is, another Chad Brown filly. She's kind of like the second stringer for him behind Rocco Roja in the Just a Game. I think she ran a really good allowance, had a good allowance victory at Keeneland in April, and I expect her to move forward. She's got some group class form in France. And a possible long shot to include in your exotics in the Jaipur, the 6-furlong turf sprint, is Hoagie, a horse who I've tried unsuccessfully to cash in on multiple times in various Midwestern sprints. He's extremely consistent. He's 8 years old. He should appreciate the 6-furlong distance, and he's got plenty of pace to work at with pure sensation in the field.
Ed's talked about that's a really contentious 12-horse field. That's the kind of race that if you have a strong opinion, you can knock out some other players, especially like in these multi-race wagers. The other horse I'll mention, Union Strike in the Acorn, like her chances. But check out Ed, our man Ed DeRosa is up at the Belmont Park. He'll be shooting videos with John Scheinman in the days to come, so check out coverage of that. This is On Point. Best of luck, everybody, in the Belmont Stakes.